The camera slowly pans across the brightly lit set of Jimmy Kimmel Live, the iconic late-night talk show that has hosted decades of Hollywood's biggest stars. The audience chatter hums like an undercurrent of electricity, a low buzz that grows. Louder as the camera zooms in on the host himself, Jimmy Kimmel smiling, confident, and in complete command of his domain. The opening moments feel almost routine. Jimmy cracking a few jokes, the studio lights shining with that familiar late-night glow, the audience laughing in perfect unison. But for millions watching at home, the night was about to become anything but ordinary. Enter Emma Watson. Known worldwide for her iconic portrayal of Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series, Emma has since evolved into a global advocate for gender equality, an outspoken humanitarian, and one of Hollywood's most respected voices on social responsibility. Tonight, however, she is not here to promote a movie, nor to entertain the casual viewer. She is here to confront a calculated, poised confrontation that will challenge not only the norms of celebrity interviews, but also the power dynamics of late-night television itself. As Emma walks onto the stage, the camera captures every detail. Her posture impeccable, eyes sharp and unwavering, her calm presence cutting through the lighthearted energy that Jimmy has cultivated. The audience reacts instantly, a mixture of applause, awe, and subtle murmurs, sensing that something significant is about to happen. The tension is palpable. Even the crew, who have witnessed countless celebrity appearances, exchange glances, sensing the weight of what is unfolding. In this moment, Emma is not just a guest. She is a force, a challenge to the established order. The first few minutes of the interview seem routine enough, almost deceptively so. Jimmy Kimmel leans forward, his trademark humor on display, quipping about Emma's past roles and the pressures of fame. But underneath the surface, a subtle friction begins to emerge. Emma's responses are precise, measured, but there is a sharpness in her tone, a refusal to be reduced to a punchline. Every word she chooses carries weight, hinting that this conversation will not go as planned. A close-up of her hand resting lightly on the armrest, a fleeting tightening of her jaw, and a momentary pause before she responds, small visual cues that communicate a brewing storm. Then it happens. Midway through a particularly playful joke, Emma interrupts. Her voice, calm but resolute, cuts through the familiar laughter of the audience. "I appreciate the humor," she begins, "but I think it's important to acknowledge the way these comments reinforce stereotypes we've been trying to challenge for years." The room freezes for a beat. The camera captures Jimmy's raised eyebrow, a slight falter in his usually confident grin. The live audience shifts in their seats, sensing the tension spike in real time. Even viewers at home feel a jolt, a mixture of shock, curiosity, and awe. This is not a scripted confrontation. It is raw, immediate, and unfiltered. The next seconds stretch endlessly, amplified by cinematic pacing. Jimmy Kimmel, seasoned and quick-witted, attempts to regain control, leaning in with a half-smile. "Well, Emma, you always have an answer for everything, don't you?" But Emma, unshaken, maintains eye contact, her composure unbreakable. "It's not about having an answer," she replies. "It's about accountability. And tonight, that includes this conversation." Her words, deliberate and pointed, echo through the studio, reverberating far beyond the stage. For the audience, the live viewers, and the millions who will later replay this clip online, this is a moment of undeniable significance. A Hollywood icon holding a talk show host to a standard that few dare to challenge. As the scene unfolds, the narration emphasizes the stakes. This is more than celebrity theatrics. It is a cultural flashpoint. Emma Watson's confrontation embodies a larger dialogue about respect, media responsibility, and the often unspoken power imbalances in entertainment. The tension is cinematic, almost palpable, as the audience waits, breathless, for what comes next. The camera captures micro-expressions, Jimmy's momentary hesitation, Emma's unwavering focus, the audience caught between shock and admiration. Each frame tells a story of courage, confrontation, and the electricity of a live, unscripted moment that will be dissected for days in newsrooms, social media feeds, and late-night commentary. The chapter closes with a lingering shot of Emma, poised and resolute, as Jimmy briefly steps back, visibly recalibrating. The music swells subtly in the background, and the narrator leaves the audience on a cliffhanger. Tonight, the rules of late-night television are about to be rewritten. One voice, one moment, in a confrontation that will ripple across Hollywood, social media, and the public consciousness for years to come. The screen fades to a close-up of Emma's eyes, determined and unwavering, setting the stage for the explosive moments that will follow. The audience, now fully engaged, senses that they are witnessing a turning point, one that transcends entertainment and ventures into the realm of cultural reckoning. The story of Emma Watson's confrontation with Jimmy Kimmel cannot be understood without tracing the arc of her extraordinary journey, from a bright-eyed child stepping onto the Hogwarts, set to a global advocate whose voice commands attention on some of the world's most influential stages. Born in Paris in 1990 and raised in England, Emma's early life was characterized by a quiet intelligence and an insatiable curiosity. By age 9, she had been cast as Hermione Granger, a role that would define not only her career, but her public identity. Hermione, the clever, courageous, and morally driven witch, became a cultural touchstone for a generation, and Emma Watson became the embodiment of those same qualities in real life. As the camera shifts to archival footage clips of the first Harry Potter premieres, Emma waving to adoring fans, her eyes bright and earnest. The narration underscores a key point. Emma's rise to fame was meteoric, but not without its pressures. Interviews from her early career reveal glimpses of her awareness of the scrutiny she faced. Even as a child star, she was conscious of the narrative surrounding her, how the media often reduced her to a character rather than a person, how fame could be weaponized to distort reality. These early experiences would later inform the clarity and poise she displayed on Jimmy Kimmel's stage. The documentary then moves through her transition from child star to adult actor. Clips from The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Beauty and the Beast, and other projects highlight her expanding repertoire, showing her versatility and commitment to choosing roles that reflect depth and intelligence. But it's not just her acting that defines Emma Watson, it's her voice off-screen. By 2014, when she was named a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador, Emma had leveraged her platform to advocate for gender equality. The historic launch of the He for She campaign positioned her as a symbol of modern feminism, one willing to confront inequity, not just in policy, but in public perception. Archival footage of her UN speech shows her poised at the podium, addressing world leaders, declaring that gender equality is not only a women's issue, but a human one. Her words, calm yet resolute, carry the same weight that would later stun audiences during her live confrontation with Jimmy Kimmel. This chapter emphasizes the contrast between Hollywood's glitzy surface and the substantive, sometimes uncomfortable truths Emma has long been willing to address. In interviews, she has consistently highlighted her struggles with media misrepresentation and the pressure to conform to stereotypical roles. A montage of magazine covers, juxtaposed with candid behind-the-scenes footage, illustrates this tension. The world eager to define her, while she quietly asserts her own narrative. It's a careful balancing act, a dance between visibility and authenticity, and it's precisely this history that made her poised, fearless, and unflinching when the time came to speak truth, to power. The narrative pivots to the underlying tension of the Jimmy Kimmel interview. The stage is set not just for a conversation, but for a collision between Emma Watson's cultivated integrity and the late-night environment known for its humor, provocation, and, at times, casual insensitivity. The camera captures Emma preparing. Backstage, the subtle brushing of her hair, the measured inhale before stepping onto the set, the reassuring glance from her publicist. Each detail is cinematic, signaling the weight of the moment. She is acutely aware that she is entering a space designed for entertainment, not accountability, but that will not deter her. Archival social media posts and interviews from Emma's career reinforce a critical point. Her voice carries authority because it is rooted in consistency and authenticity. She has confronted sexist double standards in Hollywood, addressed unequal pay in the film industry, and challenged cultural norms in ways that few peers dare to attempt. The narration emphasizes that what viewers saw on Kimmel's stage was not a spontaneous act of defiance. It was the culmination of years of principled advocacy. Emma Watson had learned, through both triumphs and setbacks, that speaking truth, even in high-pressure environments, requires courage, preparation, and unwavering composure. The chapter closes with a cinematic montage of Emma's journey, Hermione's wand raised in victory, her speeches at international forums, quiet moments of reflection captured in interviews, underscoring the persona she brings to every public appearance. The narration teases the impending confrontation, the calm before the storm. Viewers are left with the understanding that when Emma Watson steps onto Jimmy Kimmel's stage, she is not just a guest, she is a representative of her career-long mission to hold the powerful accountable, to challenge casual cruelty and oversight, and to remind the world that fame does not absolve responsibility. The tension is now fully charged, the stage set for a showdown that is as much about cultural reckoning as it is about a late-night interview. The studio lights of Jimmy Kimmel Live shine brighter than ever, reflecting off the polished floor and the excited faces of the audience, but there is an undercurrent of tension tonight that cannot be ignored. Weeks before the broadcast, those familiar with the late-night world sensed that this interview would not be routine. Production notes revealed a subtle wariness among the staff. Emma Watson, known for her unwavering stance on social issues, was walking into a show built on humor, provocation, and occasional boundary pushing. A seasoned crew member recalls, in a later interview, "We knew she wasn't here just to plug a movie. There was a sense in the air, something electric, almost like a storm was coming." Backstage, Emma is meticulously preparing. The camera captures the quiet intensity of her routine, reviewing talking points, rehearsing phrasing in front of a mirror, taking a moment to center herself. Unlike many celebrities, Emma does not rely on charm or deflection to navigate awkward questions. She relies on precision, preparation, and clarity. Every word she chooses is intentional, every pause calculated. There is an almost imperceptible tightening of her jaw, a subtle narrowing of her eyes, micro-expressions that convey awareness, determination, and readiness. She understands the stakes. This is not merely a televised conversation, but an opportunity to hold a public figure accountable, to challenge norms, and to push the audience to think critically. As Jimmy Kimmel takes his seat, the camera cuts to him grinning at the audience, joking about the day's headlines, the usual banter flowing easily. He is the master of his environment, a late-night veteran who knows how to manage tone, timing, and tension. Yet, even he seems slightly off-kilter, aware that Emma Watson is no ordinary guest. His typical humor, light and teasing, is designed to disarm. Tonight, however, the usual tools may not suffice. The audience, a sea of bright eyes and expectant faces, senses the anticipation. Some fans whisper about Emma's reputation for advocacy, others about the unpredictability of live television. The stage is primed, and the cameras roll with surgical precision. The first exchange begins harmlessly. Jimmy quips about Emma's early days as Hermione, referencing nostalgic moments that elicit laughs. But the subtle tension begins to manifest in her responses. Emma smiles politely but deliberately, her words carrying more weight than her tone suggests. Each answer, though brief, subtly redirects the conversation toward accountability, responsibility, and awareness values she has championed for years. It is a masterclass in poise, engaging without conceding, charming without compromising her principles. Every glance, gesture, and inflection is cinematic, amplified by camera cuts, slow zooms, and reaction shots of the audience, who sense that. The dynamic is shifting. As the interview progresses, the scripted humor begins to rub against Emma's boundaries. A playful joke about Hollywood stereotypes prompts a brief pause from her, a micro-expression of measured concern. The camera captures the subtle exchange, Jimmy leaning forward with an inviting grin, expecting banter. Emma, seated with perfect posture, slightly shaking her head, eyes intent. The narrator underscores the tension. The familiar rhythm of a late-night show is being disrupted, and the audience is aware that an inflection point is approaching. Behind the scenes, producers whisper anxiously, uncertain if the exchange will escalate. "It was palpable," recalls a crew member in a post-show interview. "There was this quiet electricity, like everyone could feel that something was about to break." Cinematic cues heighten the suspense. Slow zooms on Emma's hands as they rest calmly on her lap. Reaction shots of Jimmy's subtle flickers of surprise, the audience caught between laughter and anticipation. The tension is tangible, almost theatrical, and it is rooted in a simple truth. Emma Watson does not tolerate casual dismissal of serious topics. The chapter also highlights the psychological dynamics at play. Jimmy Kimmel thrives on unpredictability, often nudging guests into unscripted territory for humor. Emma, in contrast, is deliberate, aware, and unflinching. This interplay sets the stage for confrontation. The audience, both live and virtual, can almost feel the mental chess match unfolding. Every pause, every smile, every carefully chosen word contributes to an atmosphere of suspense, leaving viewers at home leaning forward in anticipation, knowing that the breaking point is imminent. The lead-up culminates in the moment before the interruption, the split second when Emma senses that humor is veering into territory she cannot ignore. The camera lingers on her eyes, focused and unwavering, capturing the silent calculation behind her decision. This is the calm before the storm. Narration emphasizes the stakes. In the blink of an eye, Emma Watson is poised to challenge not just Jimmy Kimmel's words, but the casual power dynamics inherent in celebrity interviews. Every viewer is on edge, sensing the tension but uncertain how it will resolve. As the chapter closes, the screen cuts between the live audience, Jimmy's expectant grin, and Emma's steady gaze. The narrator teases the impending confrontation, leaving the audience with a cinematic cliffhanger. In moments, the air will crack with words that will reverberate far beyond this studio. A conversation that began with lighthearted banter is about to become a defining moment, not just in late-night television, but in Hollywood itself. A stage is set. Every element, from lighting to camera angles to audience reaction, signals the inevitability of the clash that will captivate viewers worldwide. The lights of the studio seem to sharpen in intensity, focusing every lens, every gaze on the moment Emma Watson has stepped into. What was once playful banter, a late-night rhythm of jokes and laughter, now teeters on the edge of disruption. The audience, hundreds of faces under the glare of the camera lights, senses the tension. Whispers ripple through the rows. Some shift uneasily in their seats, while others lean forward, captivated by the mounting suspense. Jimmy Kimmel, with decades of experience reading the room, initially maintains his trademark composure. His grin is confident, almost predatory in its expectation, that he will control the flow of the interview. "Emma, always a pleasure," he begins, voice light, the tone practiced, yet underneath, a flicker of curiosity betrays him. He is measuring her, testing her boundaries, expecting the usual charm, the mild deflection, the polite compliance so many celebrities offer on his stage. But Emma Watson is no ordinary guest dot, as Jimmy cracks a light joke referencing Hollywood stereotypes. The tension, carefully simmering for weeks, boils over. Emma's response is immediate, firm, and deliberate. Her voice is calm but carries a quiet authority that fills the studio. "I appreciate the humor," she says, eyes locking with his. "But it's crucial to recognize how these comments reinforce narratives that are harmful, not just in Hollywood, but in society at large." The words slice through the room like a laser, sharp, precise, and impossible to ignore. The audience collectively inhales. Jimmy blinks, momentarily thrown off by her composure. Cinematically, the camera catches every nuance. A slow zoom on Jimmy's startled expression, a cut to Emma's steady hands resting lightly on her lap, a tight shot of audience members exchanging wide-eyed glances. The slow-motion effect on Emma's subtle gestures, her head tilting slightly, lips pressed together in quiet determination, creates a visual rhythm that mirrors the tension in the dialogue. She is unyielding, yet poised, a masterclass in control. Under pressure, Jimmy attempts to regain momentum, leaning forward with a half-smile and a familiar quip. "Well, Emma, you always have a response for everything, don't you?" The remark, meant to deflect, to regain dominance, falters under the weight of Emma's unwavering gaze. She tilts her head, maintaining perfect eye contact, her tone measured, her words deliberate. It's not about having a response. It's about accountability. And tonight, that includes this conversation. The audience gasps, a collective sound that swells like a cinematic score, punctuating her statement. The camera cuts between shocked viewers, Kimmel's subtle frown, and the production crew's tense glances, every micro-expression amplifying the moment's gravity. Emma's words are not just a rebuttal. They are a challenge, a reckoning. She is confronting not only Jimmy Kimmel, but the very structures of casual disrespect and dismissive humor that often go unexamined on late-night television. As the exchange escalates, the dialogue becomes a dance of intellect and poise. Jimmy's attempts at humor become cautious, his usual rhythm disrupted. Emma maintains calm composure, occasionally allowing a measured pause for emphasis, her tone neither confrontational nor aggressive, but commanding. Every syllable carries weight. Every glance reinforces authority. The studio, once a space of predictable entertainment, is transformed into a battleground of principle and accountability. The narration emphasizes the stakes. This is more than celebrity theatrics. Emma's confrontation has cultural resonance. Millions watch at home, social media monitors erupting in real time as viewers debate, discuss, and dissect the exchange. Tweets appear almost instantaneously. Praise for her courage, criticism for disrupting the show, awe at her composure. The digital world mirrors the tension in the studio, a global audience witnessing a live reckoning of media power dynamics. Cinematic. Cues heighten the drama. The lighting subtly shifts as the camera focuses on Emma's profile, capturing the determination in her eyes. Slow-motion cuts show Jimmy leaning back, momentarily flustered, as if recalibrating. Audience reactions range, from audible gasps to murmurs of admiration. Even the sound design amplifies the moment. The ambient hum of the studio fades slightly, leaving only the weight of the exchange and the resonance of Emma's voice. The climax of the confrontation comes with her final, indelible line. "We are responsible for the stories we tell and the power we wield. Tonight, I will not let this platform be used to normalize what should be challenged." The studio erupts not in laughter, but in a mix of stunned silence and resounding applause. Jimmy Kimmel, visibly shaken yet composed, nods subtly, an acknowledgement of her undeniable authority. The camera lingers on Emma's composed, unwavering expression as the audience's reaction crescendos, capturing the cinematic essence of a pivotal moment that will be replayed and analyzed for years. As the chapter closes, the narration leaves viewers with a reflective cliffhanger. In this live, unscripted moment, Emma Watson reminded the world that fame does not absolve responsibility, that courage can take the stage anywhere, and that one voice, poised and unyielding, can challenge even the most established of institutions. The screen fades on a lingering close-up of her determined eyes, a visual punctuation to a confrontation that has now entered the annals of late-night television history. The studio lights dim slightly as the interview concludes, leaving an echoing sense of tension that lingers long after Emma Watson has left the stage. The audience, initially stunned, erupts into a mixture of applause, gasps, and murmured conversation, an audible reflection of the cultural shockwave that has just unfolded. For many, this was not just a celebrity moment. It was a confrontation that redefined expectations for accountability, integrity, and courage on live television. Outside the studio, social media erupts in real time. Twitter feeds overflow with clips of Emma's statements, GIFs capturing her piercing gaze, and comments dissecting the exchange with fervor. Hashtags like #EmmaTakesTheStage and #WatsonVsKimmel begin trending within minutes. The virtual audience, numbering in the millions, engages in heated debate. Some praise her courage, calling it a masterclass in poise and accountability, while others criticize the disruption of late-night comedy norms. The narrator emphasizes the unprecedented immediacy of digital response, illustrating how a single live moment now reverberates globally in ways unimaginable just a decade ago. Entertainment media quickly pivots, producing think pieces analyzing Emma's strategy, her tone, and the implications for celebrity interviews. News outlets emphasize the cultural dimension of the exchange. A woman, one of Hollywood's most respected figures, standing unflinchingly before a media institution known for humor at others' expense. Experts discuss the significance for both the entertainment industry and public discourse, framing Emma's words as part of a larger conversation about responsibility, media influence, and gender dynamics in Hollywood. Television commentators replay the clips, slow-motion analysis highlighting micro-expressions and pauses, and dissecting every nuance of Emma's interaction. The narrative shifts to Hollywood insiders, many of whom watch the interview with a mixture of admiration and apprehension. Some recognize this as a turning point for late-night shows, an illustration that even highly rehearsed humor cannot always withstand principled confrontation. Producers, agents, and actors alike begin discussions behind closed doors about how interviews are conducted, the balance between entertainment and respect, and the emerging power of celebrities who are willing to challenge traditional norms. The narrator highlights that this moment is as much about Emma Watson's authority as it is about the evolving dynamics between talent and media. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel himself becomes a subject of discussion. Analysts note his rare hesitation, the subtle cracks in his usual performance, and how this moment underscores the unpredictability of live television. In interviews following the show, Kimmel acknowledges the gravity of Emma's statements, reflecting a nuanced understanding that this was not a mere disruption, but a principled stand. The camera captures snippets of these interviews, juxtaposed with clips from Emma's past advocacy work, reinforcing the idea that her confrontation was deliberate, rooted in years of consistent engagement with issues of accountability and gender equality. The audience reaction continues to ripple beyond the studio. Clips of fans discussing the exchange on social media, panel shows debating the cultural implications, and YouTube reaction videos analyzing every word contribute to the viral impact. The narration emphasizes the stakes. In a world saturated with media content, certain moments rise above the noise moments that spark debate, introspection, and sometimes a collective reassessment of norms. Emma Watson's confrontation is exactly that, a singular, defining moment that challenges assumptions and compels public reflection. Cinematic techniques underscore the aftermath. Slow-motion clips of Emma walking away from the stage, the applause still ringing, fade into juxtaposed shots of audiences watching at home, faces illuminated by the glow of their screens, reactions ranging from awe to admiration to disbelief. Split screens show social media feeds, news headlines, and online commentary cascading in real time, emphasizing the immediacy and scale of the impact. Music swells subtly, heightening the emotional resonance, underscoring that this moment is larger than the interview itself. The chapter closes by reflecting on the broader cultural significance. Emma Watson's confrontation is framed as a moment of accountability in entertainment media, a demonstration of courage under pressure, and an example of principled confrontation in a high-stakes environment. The narrator leaves viewers with a contemplative note. Hollywood witnessed more than an interview that night. It witnessed a reckoning, one that reminded everyone that words have weight, that courage can be quiet yet undeniable, and that integrity in public life is a force that commands attention. The screen fades on a lingering shot of Emma's composed exit, leaving audiences both inspired and introspective, fully aware of the ripple effects her actions have unleashed.